This is how politics works in the US. For the land of the free. Welcome back to the channel. This is how people like Donald Trump and Joe Biden, yeah, that guy. This is a bit of an explanation of how they got elected in the first place and how the overall electoral system works in the US. Let's go. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button and like and share the video. It helps the channel out a lot and it helps me out a lot, and it means that we can grow and grow and grow. Anyway, the entirety of the US is a federal state system. Each state has control over their spending, local affairs, basically everything. The only thing that the national government has, the federal government, is control over its foreign affairs, public safety, and welfare. That's all they have. That is all the president is in charge of. Okay? Everything else is put down to the local states. That is why states such as Texas, they could prolong, they could retract certain COVID laws. They could say, we're not wearing masks. You have to. You could kill people. No, we're not doing it. They have individual control to do what they want, which is good in a way. The federal government also looks after things such as immigration, minting money, but in terms of other powers such as taxation, law enforcement, lawmaking, these are shared between the state and the federal/national government. In the UK, we have over 600 members of the House of Commons. We have hundreds of lords. Don't get me started on lords. But in the US, they only have 435 members of the House of Representatives. So the House of Representatives is effectively the House of Commons. Okay, they only have 435 for the entirety of the USA. Now think about how big the USA is compared to the UK. Similarly to the UK, the USA is allocated a certain number of representatives in accordance with how big the state is. California, for example, is the biggest state, so it has the most representatives, about 53. While there are 7 states which just has 1 representative. Unlike the actual president itself, the executive, the representatives only serve for 2 years. So they undergo things called midterms. Yeah, the presidency is for 4 years, so the president gets elected, and then 2 years in, you have the midterms where the House of Representatives are up for election again. So representatives serve a 2-year term, and the entire chamber goes up for re-election every 2 years on even numbered years in the November. And as part of the legislative branch of government, the House of Representatives has control over which legislation is to be voted on. The upper chamber in the American political system is known as the Senate, or Capitol Hill, as the entire thing is called. These are composed of senators, 100 senators, and each state has 2 senators each, regardless of size. So Wyoming, who is particularly small, returns 2 senators. California, which is massive, and Texas also returns 2 senators. So whereas the House of Representatives is 435 representatives, in accordance with how big the individual state is, senators, it doesn't matter. You get 2 per state, that is it. And their job, in the first place, when they were created in the 19th century, was to provide checks and balances on legislation itself. But they have become the dominant body since the 19th century. They are far more powerful than the House of Representatives. Senators are directly elected and serve 6-year terms. There are no term limits for senators, so they can serve for as long as they want, as long as they're elected. The longest serving one was Democrat Robert Byrd, who served for 51 years before dying in office. And he was the senator for West Virginia, I believe. The US political system also consists of the judiciary. This is the most powerful institution in American politics, in my opinion. They are the ones that are charged with making sure that every piece of legislation, every action, and people's rights are upheld by the codified Constitution, the Constitution that was signed by America's founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, all them people. Their job to make sure that every legislation is compatible.
People to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
What if someone made a gun that could shoot, say, 50 people in 30 seconds?
And it was the codified Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, that serves as the foundations for all American politics. All American politics comes back to this, okay? And there has been amendments to the Constitution over the years, but it requires a super majority of both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Want to change gun laws? It will never happen, okay? It will never happen. They'll always waive the Second Amendment. It's my right to protect myself. It's my right to carry a gun, and you will never ever take that away from me. But all those little children, they should learn how to use a gun. Then they might be able to protect themselves a little better. Screw the kids. Another interesting point about the Supreme Court, the judiciary. There are 9 Supreme judges, okay? And these 9 judges are there for life, okay? And they are only replaced when they die. Or leave, which is quite rare. The last one who died was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who, as we all know, Donald Trump soon replaced her before he went out of office. And this is the way of, this to me is a way of the president kind of securing either the Republicans or the Democrats' grip on power, okay? The more that each party can stuff into the judiciary, into the Supreme Judges, say if they can get the Supreme Judges to be entirely made up of Democrats or the majority of it made up of Republicans, they can then control the judiciary. They can control another arm of US government, of US politics. Okay? So that's what it is, just a game. And this same system is replicated throughout each individual state as well. Okay? We have governors in each state. Okay? And each state has 2 chambers, an upper chamber, a lower chamber. So it means that, and obviously the president is elected autonomously. Okay? Each individual branch of the US government, US political system, are all elected independently. Vote for the president, you are voting for the president. You're not voting for the party. Okay? You vote for a senator, you vote for a representative, okay? And all these check and balance the other. There's a little bit more lobbying in American politics, but it's certainly a lot less corrupt, in my opinion. There's a lot less, just deals under the table, okay? The representatives are more inclined to deal with their own constituents' problems than deal with the problems of the president, okay? So when an election happens, you're electing a president, you're electing a senator, you're electing a representative, and then 2 years later in the midterms, you're electing representatives again. Then every 6 years, you're electing a senator again. Lots of elections, but to me personally, it makes a better political system, and a far better political system than the UK. The only advantage the UK has is that it has an uncodified constitution. We are eligible and able to change, reform quickly, which means we can get better reforms, and we are not stuck in the mud by a codified constitution like America has with the Declaration of Independence. Okay, America struggles to change anything. Okay, the president has to lobby the House, it has to lobby Senate. Okay, they struggle to get their own legislation through. Okay, this makes it more difficult to get popular reform through, and it makes it harder to change unpopular legislation. Tell me what you think about the US political system. Do you think it's better than the UK's, or do you think the UK's is better? Do you think it's better to not have a codified constitution, or do you think it's better to have a codified constitution? Bear in mind, this codified constitution was made when we were still using muskets. So it swings and roundabouts, has its pros and cons, but I believe the American political system is better than the UK's. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like always, thank you for watching. See you next time.